We are here with my friend Christophe Choo. So thanks so much for joining us today, Christophe. Just wanted to say thank you very much. That's Josh Rubin in New York with Douglas Elliman, of course. Christophe, tell us a little bit about your experience in today's pandemic.
Well, obviously, it's been challenging times for everyone in the world. Fortunately, I've been in this business now for 32 years, so a very long time. And I've been through many situations, no pandemics, but I've been through earthquakes, fires, floods, two market crashes, stock market crashes, 9/11. I'm still here. I'm a survivor. We still will get through this all. And thank God we're all a part of a great community where we can support each other when we're having trying times, which is challenging for everyone. And look, business is still happening. It's slower, but it's to be expected. I mean, most of America is locked down in their homes. So you
Absolutely.
can expect a lot of stuff going on right now in the world of business.
Yeah. Well, in New York, we're not really doing much. We're taking listings, we're fielding offers, we're getting things in contract, but we're
Right.
fielding a lot of inquiries from our clients, new, existing, and past clients. At the end of the day, what we're really facing here is fear, and so that's why I wanted to get everybody together and talk about their collective experiences.
Yeah. Well, there's certainly a lot of fear out there, but surprisingly enough, in our marketplace, there's still a lot of confidence. There were two major closings in the last week, one for just under 20 million and one for 43 million. And I looked at the numbers today of the last 30 days right now versus same 30-day period last year, and it's really not that big of a change. We're down in number of closings by 41%.
Wow.
Number of closings, but
That's interesting to me because the way that we do it here is the closings were actually put in motion months ago,
right.
right? There are things that went to contract, and they went to contract, say in January, and they're closing in March.
Yeah.
So you're telling me that the volume of closings that you're seeing over the last couple of weeks is actually down by 40%.
It's year over year. This period last year compared to this is down 41% in terms of number of closings. In terms of pendings, we're actually up in pendings compared to last year, which is surprising. But things are changing. And look, we had two big deals cancel, a $13 million deal and a $2.8 million deal this week and last week.
Wow.
Things are happening. With this virus, people's lives are changing, and so you're gonna have that. I mean, typically in our market, we have a 20% cancellation rate, 25%.
Wow.
So that's not that unusual. But if you look at the numbers for the month of March, we had 41 sales in our marketplace over 5 million in the month of March.
Really?
Which is pretty good. So we don't yet have the numbers for April yet. We'll have them in a few weeks. But we're not seeing a huge significant change. I would say the only major change I've seen is a lot more cancellations and withdrawals right now in our marketplace. Even
And you
a
think
number of my
that's really just because of the uncertainty?
yeah, a number of my sellers that own properties free and clear, over 5 million, one was 20 million. They want to take it off the market right now and be on hold until this changes. I think that's a mistake. But every seller is different, so we're seeing a lot more of that. But overall, marketplace, not significant changes. And again, when people can't go out and even look at homes, how do you expect? I mean, we cannot legally show homes in LA County that are occupied, so we can only show vacant homes.
Wow. That's an interesting nuance. Is that specific to LA County, or is that California as a whole?
Specific to, I don't know about California, but LA County.
Huh.
So LA County.
In other words, you can meet with buyers, you can meet with sellers, but you can only bring buyers into homes that are vacant.
Correct.
Wow.
Yeah. Huh. So, but at least we can still work. I mean, I'm coming to the office every day. My staff's been gone for 5 weeks, so I'm by myself, and there's nobody else here. So at least I can come to work. But we're still doing showings with the proper protocols. We're still doing photo shoots and video shoots. We launched a listing yesterday. We launched one on Friday. So look, people still have to buy and sell, and we got to be there to help them. So, very different how we're doing things. I mean, for me, in many ways, I've been virtual for a long, long time, so that hasn't changed too much. But it's very odd to come to your office every day and there's no one to talk to, there's no staff, and I'm kind of by myself for like 5 weeks. It's just very, very surreal.
Yeah, same here. So I've just been reaching out to past clients, and of course, my current sellers, and the buyers that I'm in touch with, and trying to remind them that this too shall pass. Tell me a little bit more about what your doing as far as listing opportunities are concerned, and what you're telling prospective sellers?
Well, I truly believe, I mean, if you look at the numbers and the stats, I think Zillow and several other of the top real estate websites have suggested that right now we have a 35% increase in online viewers of properties.
Yeah.
That's why I tell my clients, I said, look, people are at home, they really can't go out to look at properties. So they're putting things in their shopping cart, just like on eBay or Amazon, you put things in your shopping cart. So if you're not on the market now, when you've got, 1/3 more eyes looking at properties, once this, this stay-at-home order is lifted, I think there's going to be a lot of people out there in the marketplace. I mean, our inventory is down at the lowest level, and since I've seen it since I started, 32 years ago. So lowest level of inventory, lots of equity in the marketplace. So we're not going to see a lot of foreclosures. There will be some, of course, with the unemployment. But when you look at, 2007, 2008, we were $875 billion in debt in the U.S. housing market. Today, we're $275 billion. So that's, 75% less than it was back in 2007, 2008. So this is not a housing crisis. This is an external situation going on that's affecting the entire world, where people are just stuck at home. But, the historically low rates. So I truly believe, based on what I'm seeing and everything I'm studying, that once this is lifted, I think we're going to have a pretty strong surge in the marketplace. And frankly, I think real estate will really help fuel the recovery of our economy. I believe that. Just like 9/11, I remember when 9/11 happened that morning, I'm like, oh, shoot, we're going to be screwed, Nothing's going to close. Now, for 3-4 weeks, I think things were kind of like on hold. Nothing happened. But then, the Feds dropped the interest rates, and then the market went crazy for 7 years. I remember the earthquake in 1993. The earthquake happened, and everything, I'm like, I had, 7 escrows going on. I'm like, I think one canceled, but, people's chimneys fell down and it was damaged.
Sure.
But I thought, oh, we're screwed. The earthquake, no one's going to buy. But within 2-3 weeks, boom, the market just popped again. So, and if you look, there was a CAR webinar yesterday from the head economist from CAR in California talking about what's going on. And he gave case studies in Singapore and Hong Kong. All these markets are rebounding very quickly after things are changing. So I think we're going to be the same here.
Huh. Well, that's interesting that you bring up not only September 11th, which I've been talking a lot about, both with my clients and with our friends who have joined us over the last few days, because that was similar to this, except it was a little bit more localized in that it was an exogenous event, right? Yeah. So it was sort of a similar situation in that it was nothing that we could control. It was just something that we had to deal with in the moment.
Yep.
But we were, where we are, largely because of, this external event. And so what happened is, we adjusted both from a, federal perspective and local perspective. We realized the sky wasn't falling, and then demand returned to the market. Yep. And, it was like putting your thumb over the end of a garden hose where, buyers were just everywhere, all over the place. And we were seeing multiple offers on properties. Yes. And I have a sense that we're likely to see that happen again in June and July as people return to the market. But are you seeing transactions actually go into escrow or go into contract?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Right now, in the last, not as much as normally, but in the last 30 days, and this is just simply Beverly Hills, we have 18 that went under contract in the last 30 days.
Wow.
That's a pretty good number. And for example, we put a listing on the market yesterday at 5 o'clock in the afternoon on the MLS. Yep. 12.5 million. It's a fixer in the Pacific Palisades area. I've already had 7 emails from brokers, 3 showing requests since yesterday at 5 o'clock.
Wow.
So and they want to show it, and another couple properties they want to show. So people still want to see it. Thank God it's a vacant house, so I can show it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's why I tell my sellers, I said, don't wait till then. I think, look, people are still going to buy, and some people have set up appointments the last few weeks and then canceled because they got fearful. But Sure. They're going to come back in a few weeks. They're going to come see it when they're comfortable. Yeah. So, but yeah, if you put something on at 5 o'clock in the afternoon yesterday and I have 7 emails and several showing requests within 12 hours, that's pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. That's an amazing result, actually.
That's a vacant house. So I can show.
Yeah.
I tell my seller, I said, don't wait till then.
Yeah. That makes sense. And so, where do you think the market goes, Christophe, in the next, say, you know, 2, 4, 6 months? I mean, do you think it, trends flat? Do you think it goes up?
So really, no one has a crystal ball, but I've listened to probably 8 webinars the last 2, 3 weeks from top experts that study this their whole life and talk about this. So look, no one really knows. I do think there will be potentially some adjustments in pricing in the marketplaces, and everything is respective to your particular area. But I know in my area, for example, all the listings I have right now are owned free and clear, and they don't have to sell. I mean, some of them, yeah, 2 of them are trusts. They don't have to sell. They don't need to sell, and unless they get the reasonable number, they're not going to do it. Now, maybe they'll
Right.
take a little less today than they would have a month ago.
Yep.
But there's then that's part of why the market's not going to change so much. We have so much equity in America, and I think the numbers are 33% of all homes in America are owned free and clear. That's
Wow.
a huge amount.
Huge.
And I think of the 52% that remain, I think I forget the exact numbers, but there was a tremendous amount of equity in the marketplace. So unlike 2007 and 2008, where I remember it was 2007, I had a listing for $899, not in Beverly Hills, but kind of a sub area. And we put on the market, we had 76 offers.
76.
76. I've never in my career had 76 offers on a house. And we had offers as high as 25% over the asking price. But, you're not going to respond to 75 offers. And I remember looking through all these offers. I remember telling Gabrielle, I said, God, we had 75 offers, but half of the offers were 0 down or 5% down.
Oh, well, those can put those aside, right?
Those are gone. I mean,
Yeah.
and I said to Gabrielle, I said, look, if any of these buyers in that marketplace lose their job or something happens,
Yeah.
they're going to lose their home, because in, 3-6 months, you have no income, you're going to lose your home.
Yeah.
And we did sell it for a huge price, but we're not in that position today. It's just a different time. I mean, today you can't get a loan. I mean, lending is tightened, as you know. You really can't get a home unless you've got 20% down. And you can get lower down payment loans, but I've always said to my clients over the years, unless you have 20% down, you probably shouldn't buy a house.
Yeah.
I just felt that way.
You're right.
And I think the lenders are now feeling that way. So I think we're going to be in a good place. Look, none of us really know. We've got a tremendous amount of unemployment right now. I think this morning, I think it's 22%. This morning on the radio, I don't usually listen to news, but the radio said, I think it's 32% unemployment in LA County, which is, I've never heard of such a thing. However, when you look at the true numbers, 52% of all of the unemployment claims right now are bars and restaurant servicings. 52%. So I don't know about you, but I know me and all my friends, the minute we're able to go back out to a restaurant and eat lunch and dinner, we're all going out immediately. We may be wearing masks at restaurants. We may have to be 6 feet apart from each other. So I truly believe that even my skincare center, who's right here in my building, I've been concerned for them because, they're an independent business. It's a skincare salon. They've been closed for 5 weeks. So I've been buying things online, and I've been doing videos about, their products and what's going on. And I've been talking about that. But these businesses need our support, and we need to help them as best we can. And I was there yesterday picking up some things with our masks on. And I said, did you guys have to let go of your employees? Well, most people have let go of their employees so they can claim unemployment. But once this starts up again, I know all of our rich friends, they're all going to be lining up to get their facials, their skin done, hair salons, nail salons. I really believe most of the service industries that are related to food, beauty, health, shopping, restaurants are going to pick up dramatically once people can start going out and doing things again.
Yeah. So I think that's going to bounce back pretty quickly. Are we going to go back to movie theaters? Are we going to go back to Broadway? I think that's probably going to be, at least 9 to 12 months before people really feel comfortable enough again to return to truly normal lives. It's one thing to go into a restaurant or a salon, get cut color or a mani-pedi or something like that, but it's going to take a little bit longer. But what's interesting is a lot of these businesses. I spoke to a client of mine yesterday who's a very established retailer. He has 4 locations just in Manhattan. He's in the furniture business, and he applied for one of these payroll protection program
Right.
loans. Of course, the Fed is forgiving the majority of that loan if you employ, if you keep your employees on payroll.
Right.
So he wound up getting funded in the first round.
Good for him.
Yeah. And so he laid off his workforce before he got the approval for the payroll protection program. And then what happened is he got approved, so he rehired them. And when I spoke to him, he was in his store trying to figure out how to use his staff now that, he has to have them on payroll, but,
Right.
Doesn't have the ability to open his stores and have customers return.
And I will say regarding the employees and all that, that's a challenge as a business person. I mean, look, my staff have been working. They're not been furloughed. They're getting their full salaries, automatic payroll every 2 weeks. But it's been challenging for me because, they've been gone for 5 weeks and they're at home.
Sure.
So look, I can't get things done as I normally do because I'm here every day and I'm there with them and I'm overseeing things. So that's challenging. But what am I going to do? Cut their hours, cut their payroll? I don't want to do that. Furlough them and make them go on unemployment. I don't know. I mean, I hope it doesn't go on too long because it's challenging because we're not generating a lot of income right now. That's down. But we have to do the best we can.
Yeah, as far as the income is concerned, though, Christophe, we have to keep in mind that, as far as I'm concerned, things are closing today that happened in January. But, they're not necessarily, I'm not putting anything in the contract today.
Right.
So that means income in, July and August is going to be down. So this summer is going to suffer as well, which I think broadly speaking, that's going to impact the economy. The travel and leisure sector, restaurants, entertainment, amusement. This summer I think it's going to be down for those sectors.
Yeah. Most important thing is we gotta look. Are you able to go show properties in New York, or are you completely not allowed to do that?
Legally, we're deemed an essential service,
right?
So, which is great, but what we're not able to do is we're not able to have physical showings. So they came out and claimed that we're essential, but they clarified that a day or two later and said that we can do virtual showings. So I guess technically, if a building would permit it, we could probably get away with it, but it's just not worth the risk, in my opinion, given that we're such a hot spot.
Yeah. Yeah, you're the hottest spot in America for that. But are things quieting down with that right now? Is it better than it was a couple of weeks ago? Are you beyond the peak, I hope?
Yeah, so they say that the curve is flattening, which is great.
Good.
But we're not necessarily able to really see beyond that. It's 1 week at a time. And so while we see fewer people being diagnosed, we're not necessarily beyond the forest, if you will.
Right.
So, we're seeing the curve flattening, which is great, but that just means that we're seeing fewer people admitted to the hospital with infection rates. However, we are seeing the rates of people passing away from the virus continuing to increase.
Really?
So if we're not careful, ultimately we'll wind up having a repeat.
When did you guys actually lock down? Because we've been locked down 4 weeks on Friday, so this Friday will be 5 weeks. When did you guys actually lock? You guys were after us, I think.
You guys are actually a week after us. So it was really March.
You've been locked down for 6
it was
weeks?
March 13th, Friday, March 13th, when I came home and I realized that I was not going to be able to go back into the office.
Got it.
So as far as the curve is concerned, it's difficult to see. It's really difficult to envision what it's going to be like, in another week or two. My greatest fear is that these states that aren't taking it as seriously, states like Georgia, Kentucky, Tennessee, Florida, Texas, it just takes one person, to infect dozens of others. Imagine in a normal day, you go to the grocery store, how many people do you say excuse me to, or how many people are you within 6 feet of? So this virus is easier to spread, and we don't know enough about it yet to really understand how complex it is and what the risk really is. So my sense is that the federal government, at the bequest of Trump, is downplaying it. And so they're really encouraging the reopening of America.
Right.
And ultimately, what you'll see is you'll see the rate of infections increase in these states that hadn't taken it so seriously.
Yeah.
And you're starting to see that a little bit, but it's certainly out of our control. All we can do is hope for the best.
Yeah. Look, I've only been to the market twice in a month, and I really don't. Most things are being delivered, thank God.
Yeah.
But I've been twice, and just not something I want to do. I just don't feel comfortable. I mean, I went several times, and I'm like, I'm not waiting in a line. I'm not going to do this. I'm just don't know it. We got enough food at the house. It's not what I want, but we'll survive. We can do to go. Luckily, the restaurants have to go or deliveries. We have a lot of that in LA. I don't know about New York, but so at least we can get food delivered. But even that, I mean, everything's a bit of a concern right now. So we just have to be very, very careful. And even though we may not think we have it, you could be carrying it and passing it on. So anytime I'm out and about, I've got my mask on. I've got my gloves when I need to. Which is, and even walking on our walks in the morning, we wear masks walking in the morning.
Wow.
And when we're walking in our neighborhood, you see people like we go this way, they go that way. We see neighbors and we're like 10 feet apart. We're like, hey, how's it going? With our masks on. Oh, it's crazy times.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely crazy, but I'm confident that we'll get back to normal before too long here. And I'm glad to hear that things are actually happening in your market. But it's really interesting to hear that closing volume is down 40% just in LA County. I assume that's
this is just strictly Beverly Hills. Beverly
Hills. Yeah.
LA County, I don't know the numbers, but strictly Beverly Hills.
Yeah, so that's like 90210 proper.
Yeah, but when you think about in March, because we went in lockdown March 15th, I think it is. So half of March, but 41 sales over 5 million in March. That's pretty good. Yeah. That's not that far off of our normal numbers. So we'll see in 2 weeks what the numbers are for April.
Well, it's good because I tend to think that California may in fact be leading New York in terms of the return to normalcy. And so to me, that tells me that there is hope for just in terms of the market and its health, in terms of demand. And, we're not seeing a ton of sellers in markets that you can, put a house on the market, you can show a house. We're not seeing a flood of supply or panicked sellers.
Right. No.
So that's a good thing.
Yeah. And I mean, even this week, we had 2 calls today's Wednesday, yesterday and Monday. A buyer from Philadelphia wants to buy a $6.5 million property here in LA. Wow. He's got all cash. He's an internet guy. He wants to close quickly because his sister lives here. He lives by himself in Philadelphia, from where you're from.
I was going to say, I wonder if I know him.
You might, but he's 23 years old. 23-year-old guy. Internet guy. 23 years old. Anyway, and he's like, well, how quickly can we close? I said, well, we can close in 7 days, even 5 days if necessary. Yeah. And he says, can we do a virtual purchase? Well, I said, well, I've done them. I mean, so I said, we can do that. And another buyer from Canada whose family is here and they want to be closer to their family. So, so that's good when you get, at least thank God we're getting calls and people interested and people want to move forward. So that's good.
That's very exciting. So a virtual purchase, can you walk me through how that might work?
So in this particular case, what we discussed specifically was he's going to go online on I have an app. So he's going to go on my app. You can search all the properties. I've been sending him properties. Once he defines the ones he wants to see, let's say there's 2 or 3 properties he wants to see. He's not going to see them physically. Although I did encourage him. I said, look, I really think you need to come at some point and see it physically. Yeah. But he wants to close quickly. So basically what I'll do is once he's defined them, I will set up those 3 appointments. I will, set up a live FaceTime with him. I told him that, at 10 o'clock, 10:30, 11 o'clock, I'll be at the house. You're on your phone, live FaceTime. I will walk him through the house because I've done this before. I've sold not quite a number, maybe 8 houses in the last 10 years virtually from the phone. So we're going to do that. And then.
So just to clarify here, Christophe, this is people who haven't actually set foot in the home. You're there either taking video or doing a FaceTime or Zoom equivalent type call with them, showing them the details, talking about it, and just sort of introducing them to the home, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly. And since he's paying cash, there's no loan docs, there's no notaries necessary. The grantee is signed by the seller, which is notarized, but there's nothing. Everything he can do can be signed electronically. Wow. So look, I've had a lot of international buyers over the years, and if you think about them, you're in New York, you do a lot of new construction residential condos. How often have you sold a brand new construction project before it's even finished, based on a floor plan or a virtual tour, and then you close escrow? I've done that in LA. New construction projects are not even done. They buy it based on the models, a model room that they see somewhere physically, or I do a video of. It
Yep.
can happen. It does happen.
Oh
If
yeah.
loans involved, it's a little bit more complicated, but on a cash deal, it's pretty simple.
It can certainly happen, and people do buy homes off of models all the time,
Yeah,
without even going to the actual building site or to the floor. A lot of developers over the last couple of years have engaged drone photography, so they'll understand. Okay, you want to see something on the 12th floor? Well, the 12th floor is 144 feet above the street, so we have shots in all directions from 144 feet up in the drone.
yeah,
And they do that in such a way so that people can be comfortable with what their view is going to be. In fact,
exactly.
yesterday I just had a Zoom appointment for a new development in Brooklyn with a buyer, and they showed us the view on Zoom. So anything is possible.
Exactly. Remember those virtual live videos we did on Facebook?
I do.
Look, and I think the buyer didn't buy it, but the buyer from Middle East contacted me. Remember that? And
Yeah.
he saw the virtual video and he was interested in that particular apartment. So there you go.
Yeah. So, Christophe, thanks so much for joining us today. Really appreciate your time and insights. Always super helpful and very timely. And everybody on Facebook and Instagram, continue to let us know if you have any questions. Both I and Christophe will make ourselves available and answer as needed.